I want to welcome you to Dream Chasers Radio with me, your host, Yaya Diamond. What's up, people? What's up? Yay! We have a great show for you today. We have an author. Authors are intelligent people, way more smarter than me. We'll be right back. Don't you go anywhere. Welcome back to the show. It's a wonderful, wonderful day. You can get us on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Spreaker, Spotify, TuneIn, Deezer, Vimeo, Roku, and Amazon Fire at Yaya Diamond TV, as well as YouTube at Dream Chasers Radio, not Yaya Diamond TV. Don't do that. That's Dream Chasers Radio. So we have a great guest on our show today, and I want to welcome him to the show. Please tell everybody who you are and what you do, please.
I'm Matt Holmes. I'm an author, writer. I have one book currently published. The next one is days away from dropping. We're in the final edit, waiting for proofs to get here, hopefully this week. We were shooting for a release of next week, right before Thanksgiving, give you something to do while you're, stuck at home without family or stuck at home with family you don't want to be stuck at home with. But, like we're just grinding away on this writing thing.
Awesome. Did you find that it was easier for you to write, or was it more difficult because everybody was just encroaching on your time?
Mostly especially writing the first one, it was really easy to write. I was actually in a spot where I was unemployed and had ample amount of time. I was getting, depressed and fighting, super depression. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to start writing in the morning because I used to love doing it. And I would wake up before my youngest daughter would, at the time would wake up. So I get a couple hours before that. Then she would wake up. I'd take care of her. She'd get started on her day. I go back to writing and then just sit there and write all day. So.
Wow. I mean, how long did it take you to figure out that you were really, really super good at this?
Well, back when I was younger, I used to write when I was in fifth, sixth grade. And it was always so funny to me because I would write and all the other kids were like, why do you want to write? None of us want to do these writing projects. Why do you want to do it? And flash forward to high school, I did a myth, fantasy, and folklore class. And I turned in a paper that I had written in sixth grade because I just didn't want to do the work, because who wants to do the work in high school? So I turned in this paper that I had written when I was, sixth grade, and of course edited it through the class and everything, did the project. And I got an A on the project, and the teacher was just blown away by my writing. And it was like, man, could I do this? And, flash forward to now and, back to what I love and storytelling. It's an amazing way to reach out to people when you don't feel comfortable reaching out to people.
Mm-hmm. Well, my teachers were very amazed with my writing too, how bad it was. So,
yeah.
They're like, you couldn't get any worse than this. You're very smart, but no.
Well, see, some people are vocal storytellers and some people can do it in text. And I think that from what I've heard from you, you're definitely a vocal storyteller. And I love that. So
vocal all the way. Definitely. I mean, if I wrote it down on paper, it would be really horrible. But thank you so much for boosting up my confidence.
That's what this is about, right?
That's right. That's what this is all about. So tell me about your books. Tell me, is it folklore? Is it like mystery? What is it?
So Here We Remain is a zombie apocalypse. It is a situation where I had written a story and I was in a project with a bunch of my friends, and one by one they dropped out. We were writing a script and I was going to do set work and things, and it dropped off. So I started writing my own story. I was just kind of minding my business on the side. And when that fell through, I got mad and deleted a folder. And inside that folder was the bones of this story. So flash forward to when I sat down to start writing again, I was like, man, you know what? I'm going to approach this from a different angle, because that was really the military side of it. I was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to follow a family. So we follow a family who loses their mom. They're away at a lake house. Their mom is in the hospital. She wanted them to get away for 4th of July and not be cooped up in a hospital. remembering her last 4th of July as, a sick one. She wanted them to have fun, and they Skype in, and flash forward to the zombie apocalypse happens while they're away. So they're just trying to get back to be able to put her to rest and then get back to safety, because,
Wow.
that's what it's about.
Wow. Wow. And your second book?
It is a follow-up to this one. It is All That Comes After, and All That Comes After picks up, a few months after the first one ends, and relationships have now changed. Things are a little bit different for the main characters. Our hero isn't necessarily somebody that wants to be a hero. Like I said, he started out life just, a mild-mannered guy, owned his own business, got, stuck in this zombie apocalypse. He kept a promise to keep his kids safe, and now he just wants to exist while everybody else's, life goes on. We still have to keep moving. We still have to keep surviving. And those relationships get hard, and some relationships get closer, because that's what happens when you're stuck in dark situations with people. You cling on to the hope that you can. So.
Wow, that's amazing. You know what? I wanted to ask you this question, and this is kind of like one of those, stupid questions, but a stupid question really is a question that's never really asked. But your writing style, did that change and evolve as you got better?
Absolutely. That's actually a really good question. That's not a dumb question at all. That is one of the things that I didn't expect. I've written short stories and things like that, but in writing a book, as I wrote it, as I found my voice as a writer, as I found my style as a writer, I'm really dialogue driven, and my dialogue specifically sounds like a conversation. It sounds like you or I talking to each other. I don't write in a dry kind of way. I always have, a hard time reading those books, because it's just like I'm reading a transcript from somebody with no emotion trying to tell me emotion, and I'm not about that. So I noticed that from the first few chapters of my book to the last few chapters, how much better that voice became of telling the story, and characters explaining their stories and explaining what's going on. And my editor, one of the notes that she left me as we started to wrap up was, you have to go back and start rewriting the beginning of the book so the writing styles match. And I kind of looked at that note like, what? And then I looked at it and I was like, man, I could add so much more here, or man, that was a weird way to say that. I wouldn't have, and it's like, wow, that's a thing. So.
Wow. I wouldn't think to go back to the beginning to write the book, to rewrite the beginning, because you do advance. I figure you would advance, from the moment that you began till the end. And then you have to really go back and kind of tweak it a little bit. So that does make a lot of sense. So you said that the book is dropping soon. When?
So as long as we get proofs back and everything looks good, cover art looks good. There's actually art throughout my book. It's not a graphic novel, but I don't know if you remember them, but my favorite books in school were the ones that had a picture here and there, like throughout, because you'd get that book from the teacher and you flip through it like, what am I about to read? And you see these pictures and you're like, man, I want to know what that picture has to do with the story. Yep. So I wanted, it's an easy, exactly. It's an easy read, and it's written for people. I'm dyslexic. I grew up with, a lot of the learning disabilities that people now understand, but when, back in the 90s, nobody really cared about it. They just were like, hey, here's an IEP, here's a computer, here's an aid, and, they send you on your way. So I tried to write for that. But as long as that art that's inside the book looks good, nothing needs to be touched up, I'm hoping for the Tuesday after Thanksgiving, give you something for the holidays to read, maybe a Christmas gift for some people,
Maybe Hanukkah,
maybe
Kwanzaa,
exactly.
There's so many different holidays coming up. My goodness. So, when people come on the show, I always ask them one question, what would be your advice to the people who are looking today and listening on the podcast? What would your advice be to them if they wanted to start writing?
Firstly, I would say just start writing. It doesn't matter whether you write a sentence. It doesn't matter whether you write a paragraph. Just start writing. I know when I started, it was a way to escape everything that I was going through. It was a way to, put myself in a position to not have the dark thoughts in my head, but, putting them down on a page. And I think if you want to write, if you're interested in it, it doesn't matter whether the story is good or whether the editing is good or whether your grammar is good. None of that matters, because all that can be fixed later. What matters is getting it out on the page.
I like that. even though I can't get anything on the page, but I can
Mhm.
talk a storm. I
Yeah,
think the old typewriters really inspired me. You know, the
yeah,
old ribbon with the
yeah. That's what
click,
the
click, click,
first thing I
click,
wrote
click.
was
Yeah,
on one of those. And
yeah,
when you mess up, you got to slide it forward, white out, put it back down, triangle.
yeah.
Yeah,
I had
yep,
the little whiteout things that you put it in
yep,
there and then you
yep,
hit it.
yep, yeah.
I
I,
remember
I
those.
I wrote probably like a 12-page story with my mom sitting over my shoulder telling me how to type because I was too little to really understand it. And
Oh,
I wish I had known then that like I could turn this into something because I would be hopefully a lot further on. But
hmm,
there's always that stigma of like the question you just asked me, what advice? I wish that
right,
somebody had pulled me aside and said, "Hey, you like writing, go write," because
right.
I wouldn't have wasted so much time trying to find something I'm good at, trying to find something I'm passionate about.
Hmm.
And I think that that's the big thing is if you're passionate about it, go get it done.
You gave me a good idea about myself, something I never really thought about. There are audiobooks out there that are great. I
Absolutely.
mean, I love
Absolutely.
audiobooks. And so I'm an audio person, I'm a talker. I can talk up a good story. And my kids know that whenever I talk to them, they're like, Mom, tell me a story. And I just right out of the blue
Yeah.
come up with something. And
Yeah.
they're like, that was such a good story. Can you finish it tomorrow? I'm like, okay, I
Hmm.
gotta remember what I said.
Yeah. Yeah. That's, yeah.
So, yeah, I'll
I
think
think that
about that.
I can't remember if it's on like Word or what it is, but there's an app that can do it's called Dictate and you can
Yeah.
speak it. So like you just speak it and
Hmm.
it'll type it out for you. So you don't have to be a good writer to be a good storyteller.
See, that's the thing. I did try that now that we're talking about writing, and this is kind of inspirational for other people. I did try that, but I always have the feeling that I have to go back and check it to make sure that it's right. And so I don't like doing that. I like to move forward because my brain moves a little bit faster than what I can process at times.
Yeah.
And then I get stuck at the part where I'm trying to go back to make sure it's okay. So I think a pure audio format is the best for me.
Yeah. I
Just
mean,
no typing, a pure audio format. I think to me that would be like a free audio format, a free speaking kind of thing. I think that would be really good. And I think a lot of people maybe would gravitate to that. What do you think about that being an author?
I actually really like it. I want to get my books onto a recording. I
Hmm.
think that one of my favorite books is one that I actually listened to. I didn't read it. Like I said, I grew up with all of the learning disabilities, so reading was always really hard. So
Hmm.
I think that hearing a story, we were on a road trip. I don't remember if we were going to South Carolina. I don't remember where we were going. I grew up on the East Coast, so it was one of those close by states that had some historical something or other that we were going to. And
Hmm.
I just remember hearing it, and it was one person reading all these different parts, but somehow it was still emotional and still connecting. And
Right.
I think that it's a really good idea. If you have a story and you can remember your talking points, I think that record it. Why not? What's the
Yeah,
worst that can
definitely.
happen? Is it sounds bad and nobody hears it? If you didn't record it, nobody would have heard it anyway.
Exactly. And that's a wonderful thing. Yeah. And I remember like the cassette tapes, you put them
Yeah.
in there and then
Yep.
you're on the road trip and all of a sudden the whole music would come on
Yeah.
and then they'd be talking.
Exactly.
And oh my gosh, it was amazing. Yes, definitely, definitely. So I totally get it. Audiobooks are making a comeback.
Yeah.
Most people think that those are new. Those aren't new. That was the
Yeah.
road trip. That was like the cassette tape. You pop it in and
Yeah.
there was your story.
And now everything's
So
digital, and they're like, yeah, but no, yeah,
yeah,
it started out as cassette tapes.
it did. It
I
did.
even
And eight
remember,
tracks too.
yeah, yeah, true. I remember there was
Yeah.
a Christian station that my mom used to listen to when I was
Hmm.
younger. We'd go pick up my dad. He worked at a lot of the military hospitals in DC.
Hmm.
So we'd have to wait for him. It's not like we could go in to go get him. We just had to kind of
Right.
wait outside. So she would play this. I wish I could remember what the name of the story was, but
I know
they
what
would
you're
just
talking
tell,
about. They're like Miracle, something
yeah,
like another, where the kids would go on
yeah,
these little
yep,
trips and stuff. Yeah,
exactly.
I listened to that too.
I loved it. And it was always so like I used to find myself like excited, but like I don't
Hmm.
want to act excited that I want to hear this story. But like, again, it's another one of those moments where I should have realized that storytelling was something that I was passionate about because that was
Definitely.
always amazing. So I think the audio thing is good. If you have a listener out there that's thinking, man, I'm a bad writer, I can't write, I think try and record it. You
Yeah.
you may hate
Just
the sound of your voice, but that doesn't mean that somebody else doesn't love the sound of your voice.
right. And you can always just dictate it and then give it to
Yep.
someone else
And
and
somebody else. Yep.
they can actually do it for you. So
Yeah.
that's a wonderful thing right there. I think a pure audio format for people who don't like to write or who feel obligated to go back cuz like, when you're on a roll, you're just on a
Yeah.
roll. You don't want to
Yeah.
stop. And I can't type that fast.
Yeah.
So definitely. But thank you so much for being on the show. Where can people get you? Where can they reach you? Where can they find your writings, your books?
I have a blog. I have an Instagram. He Remain 2018 is the Instagram. My links are all connected to that. I'm on Facebook at Here We Remain. There's a lot of places. I'm hoping to get started with a production company. Actually,
Mm,
I've noticed through this writing thing and through trying to talk to people about podcasts. There's networks that everybody's a part of, but for some reason nobody's willing to help.
yeah,
And
no.
I wanted to start a production company that does everything. I build stuff, I craft stuff, I
Mm,
write. So I've made a lot of connections, and I think that if I have an editor and you got something you need edited, like why should I not link you together?
there you
And
go.
if I got a writer and you want to draw a comic book work but like don't have a story, there you go. Now here's a writer. So
Right.
starting that up, that's the next big thing. But yeah, Instagram, Facebook, hopefully a website soon.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you again so much for being on the show. And thank you so much. You guys, listen, we're going to have all of his information in the description box below. So all you have to do is, if it is highlighted, click and it'll take you straight there. If it's not, copy and paste that into your browser and click enter. It'll take you straight there. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And thank you for being on the show.
Yeah, of course. You guys need to smash that subscribe button and give her some 5-star reviews. Tell her how awesome this is because I've been listening to it. Gotta love it.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. And don't you forget to dare to be different. Until next time, guys. Bye.
I dare to be different.